Hi there, welcome to session number 5, Understanding Your Hunger. Last week we talked to you about feeling really calm around food. So hopefully by now you have a peace about you and you're able to sit down at the table with a meal and feel really, really relaxed. If you're not there yet, don't rush this process. Just spend a little more time on lesson number 4, getting really comfortable, really calm, really present around your food. And when that feels good, then move on to this session. These things build incrementally upon each other, and your journey is going to be totally unique to you, so don't feel any pressure to rush this. When you are feeling really calm and peaceful around food, then it's time to start to understand your hunger. That can feel a little overwhelming, a little confusing, and can be a more difficult part of intuitive eating, but today we're going to give you 3 steps to help you really, really get in touch with your hunger. Step 1 is going to be getting to know your hunger. Step 2 is going to be letting go of unrealistic expectations. And the 3rd step is to really be present during your meals.
Step number 1 is getting to know your hunger. So right now at this point, we want you to practice for at least a few days or maybe even a week, just eating at the first sign of hunger, since it's going to take a little bit to understand what that actually feels like. So a few different ways that people feel hunger are maybe feeling a little bit tired or a little bit irritable, feeling like you have an empty stomach, just kind of this hollow feeling. Sometimes people feel hunger in the back of their throat. Sometimes people feel a growling stomach. There's a variety of different ways that you can feel it, and everybody's different. So if you feel hunger in a way that I didn't name to, that's completely normal, and you can just go off of that. Another way that we like to gauge hunger is using the hunger scale from 0 to 10. So what I like to think of is a gas tank in your car. So 0 would be completely famished, really hungry, and 10 would be way stuffed, overly stuffed. And 5 is right in the middle, where you're not really feeling hungry or full. You're just kind of on your way back to hunger or maybe even fullness. Start eating around a 3 or a 4 and see what that feels like for you. And it might not feel, you might not even know if you're at a 3 or a 4. It will probably feel like you're just starting to get hungry, based on whatever hunger sign you decide to go off of.
Totally, and there's definitely a difference between meal hungry and snack hungry. So we want you to start to notice your body's patterns. If you just ate breakfast like 2 hours ago, and you start to feel a little hungry, your body is probably more prepared for a snack than a meal. But if it's been 3 to 4 hours since the last time that you've eaten, then a meal is probably a good idea. And the reason why this is so important is because if you're just hungry for a little something, then a snack is going to be totally fine. But if you're hungry for a meal, if your body needs a little bit more nourishment, if you need a little bit more food, then what happens if you start to eat a snack is that your body won't feel satisfied. It won't get what it truly needs, and that can lead you to sort of like picking between snacks. So maybe you have one snack and you're like, oh, I'm not really satisfied. So then you go in and get another snack, and then before you know it, you've eaten 3 or 4 snacks, and that doesn't feel as grounding, as satisfying as sitting down for a meal, but it can also lead to a binge because you can feel a little out of control, and then you keep picking at things, and when you don't feel satisfied, it's hard to move on. So we want you to really think about whether you need a snack or a meal when that hunger starts in your belly.
Yeah. I think too, permission to eat comes back into play here, because like Cindy's talking about, the difference between meal hungry and snack hungry. If you are meal hungry and you start snacking, you have full permission to, after a couple snacks, stop and recognize, wait, I must be meal hungry because these snacks are not satisfying me, and tell yourself, all I'm gonna do is take a break from the snacks. I don't have this like urging hunger anymore because I've had a couple snacks and I'm gonna make a meal, take it to the table, sit down and enjoy it. Something that you would really love. And you need to feel no guilt about having already had a couple snacks. It is so much better than just continuing to snack and snack and snack and then feel like you've binged at the end of the night.
Absolutely, because typically binge eating is on like a series of snack foods. You know, you go from having a bowl of ice cream to then having a bag of potato chips to then having some cookies to then having more ice cream, and it just sort of goes on and on and on. Where if you sit down with a meal, if you plate your food, if you really like get into the moment and allow yourself to feel satisfied, that kind of behavior is less likely to happen. Step number 2 is letting go of unrealistic expectations. You have to let go of the idea that if you are super famished, that you're gonna be able to sit down and have like a really light salad and feel satisfied. That's an unrealistic expectation, which is why it's so important for you to start noticing your hunger and eating around a 3 or 4, like Paige said, because that is going to let you feel satisfied with a plate of food. It's gonna let you feel satisfied if you're just snack hungry with a little snack, or if you're meal hungry with a meal. But when we let ourselves get really, really famished, reason is gonna go out the window and our primal instincts are gonna take over. So you have to remember that your body was created to thrive, but it's also created to survive. So when you go into a really, really ultra hungry, famished state, your body wants to do one thing, and that is find food, eat as much of it as possible, and store it up for the next famine. And that's not because your body's the enemy, it's not because she's evil, it's because she's trying to take care of you, and she goes into essentially survival mode. So when we let ourselves get famished, we need to understand that that is straight up survival mode. If we want to really thrive around food, that's why it's important to eat regularly, to make sure that we're noticing our hunger when it starts and really starting to honor that hunger. If we let ourselves get famished, all bets are off. And of course, you're going to feel a little out of control around food. You're going to need to eat more to feel full, to feel satisfied. And you have to let go of the unrealistic expectation that that's not going to happen. So just letting your body know, like, hey, we're not in famine mode. You're not starving by eating regularly and honoring your hunger when it gets to around a 3 or 4 is gonna really prevent a lot of that overeating or that feeling of, oh my God, I'm so hungry, I could eat an entire cow. And I think we've all been there. Like, there have been times where I've been so hungry that I've eaten everything on my plate and I think to myself, I feel like I didn't even eat anything. Like, I'm still so hungry. And that also, when we're really, really hungry, we eat a lot faster too. So our body doesn't even have time to register the food that we've taken in before you continue to eat more. So it's really, really important that if you want to thrive around food, which we know that you guys do, that you're honoring your hunger when it's around a 3 or 4 and eating regular meals, eating regular snacks.
And the other side of letting go of unrealistic expectations, which is so important, is not planning when you're going to eat or how hungry you're going to be later or how you're going to want to eat the next day. So a prime example of this is going to brunch with your friends. And while you're at brunch, you get this great meal and it is like so tasty and you don't want to stop eating. So you tell yourself, you know, it's like 10 o'clock right now, 10:30, it's close to lunch. Maybe I'll just totally skip lunch today and I can just finish this whole meal. I don't have to take anything home. It's fine if I'm full, I'm not gonna have lunch and I'll just have dinner later. Or I'll eat really good the rest of the day to make up for this. So this is like this feels like just fast dialogue going on in your mind. You're not saying this out loud. It's just all these thoughts going on to justify that I can just keep eating this right now. I'm just gonna stuff myself. We want to move away from that. That doesn't feel very intuitive and it doesn't feel very good. All you need to do to move away from that is get yourself to this place in that moment where you're feeling like you can remind yourself that it's gonna be fine. I can have this food in a couple hours if I want. I can leave this restaurant, take this food with me, and eat it right when I get home if I decide that I want to continue having it. But it's really important just to give yourself that break and not plan that you're gonna be better later so that you can do this thing that doesn't feel so great now just because your food tastes good. Even tell yourself that this food does taste really good. I don't really want to stop eating, but it's not going to feel great if I stuff myself full. It's going to taste so much better if I take it home. So just remind yourself of that. And like late at night, if a lot of people struggle with binge eating or just overeating or mindlessly snacking at night, you want to remind yourself the same thing. I don't want to do something that doesn't feel good right now and feel like I have to plan to make up for it tomorrow by eating really good. Because tomorrow you're going to wake up and you're just going to be the same normal person. You're going to want to continue going on about your day without expectations. That feels horrible, and none of us like to have those expectations placed on us. So let go of the unrealistic expectations. If you feel them coming on, remind yourself, those never serve me. I don't need those. They don't help me. I feel so much better when I listen to my body and just take a little break and calm down rather than listen to those negative thoughts. Step number 3 is being present during your meal. So we want you to know that it's really important to be present during whatever kind of food you're eating. So whether this is a great homemade meal that you've poured 45 minutes into making, or it's just a bag of potato chips, we want you to be really present with whatever you're eating, because that's how you can make all food seem equal. Otherwise, it's going to be like potato chips are for the couch and TV and dinner is for the table. We want you to see them all as equal. So things to help you practice being present are mindful are going to be first just physically eating at the table, and then doing things that make that fun for you so that you can look forward to it. So clearing clutter, not having your table be somewhere that you keep mail or bills or especially things that might stress you out or make you anxious. Homework, if you have homework, things from work that you're bringing home, all things like that should be clear from your table. Your table should be somewhere that you're excited to rest and take a break, maybe set flowers or non-scented candles, just something that you really enjoy. And then set your food up in a way that feels special to you. So maybe think of what you like about eating at your favorite restaurant. How do they set that plate up? If it's just a sandwich, how do they set that up in a way that makes you feel like, I would rather like eat out at a restaurant and have the sandwich this way because it looks like this and that's my favorite thing about it. Do the same thing at home so that you're feeling really special and excited about it. And we want you to stay away from mostly the TV. That's probably the biggest distraction, wouldn't you say?
Definitely. TV and like cell phone.
Yeah.
Like messing around on Instagram or Twitter or Facebook or whatever.
Yeah, because you're so engaged in something else and not focused on your meal. And what's going to happen is by the end of your meal, you're going to be thinking, I didn't really get to taste that food. I kind of want something else. Flavor sounds good. I think I might still be hungry. And you're going to really feel confused when you don't need to have that confusion at all if you just take some time spending 10 minutes sitting at the table and eating. You're gonna waste more time if you eat at the TV and then go back 10 times for other snacks. So sit at the table, make your meal in a way that you're excited to be enjoying it. And then the second thing is just being physically present. So especially when you're in a group of people, this is so helpful. I have a lot of people ask, how do I be present with my food when I'm eating with other people and talking? I really don't feel like I can focus much on your food. Don't worry so much about thinking about your food that whole time. Have fun, enjoy your conversation. Just practice being present by calming your body down. Don't focus on like sitting up perfectly straight and talking to everyone and having these wonderful manners, and that's gonna totally distract you from your food and you're not gonna be having very much fun. Practice like sitting back in your chair, getting comfortable, not hovering the table, and setting your fork down when it feels natural, slowing your voice as you're talking to people, practice engaging, and then when you do take a bite of something, really roll the flavors in your mouth and try to taste it as much as you possibly can to really enjoy it.
Definitely. And I think just going off of what Paige was just talking about, being really physically present and calm around your food, stress is a big distraction. Stress keeps you from being present at a meal. So we talked a little bit about this before, but when your body's stressed, it's not able to properly digest food. So a lot of the things that cause us stress would be like work emails on our phone. That's another reason why it's so important to just get that technology away from you. Watching the news, you see this like really tragic story, like that's stressful. We don't realize that some of these things are stress. Distractions are stressful. So if you're eating while you're driving in a car and there's traffic, that's stressful, and then you're trying to eat. You're really not focused on the food. You're really not present in the food, and your body really isn't present for the digestive process when it's feeling stressed. So work on getting those stressors out of the way. Maybe at work, that means turning your chair away from your computer and even eating on the side of your desk where your computer isn't right in front of you, sticking your phone in the drawer. If you're at home, sitting down at the table, like Paige said, taking a few deep breaths, letting those things go, understanding that whatever's happening will still be there for you to deal with when the meal's over, but that you deserve 15 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever, even a little bit of time like that you can set aside to just sit down, have your toast, eat your sandwich, enjoy your bowl of soup, whatever it is, letting those stressors go, putting them aside until after the meal so that your mind and body, yes, are present, but also that your body is able to just rock the digestive process because it's not using its energy to store up to deal with this stressor.
And I think it's so important what Simi said too, what she pointed out. If you can't get to a table at your job, we definitely don't want this to turn into something that leads you to feeling guilty, like, oh, they're telling me to eat at a table, but I never eat at the table because I can't find the time, or whatever it is. Maybe you don't even have a place like that at your workplace. Whatever you do that feels right for you, that you feel like, yes, I'm doing my best right now to be present, that is 100% okay.
When I finally started to trust my body and trust her hunger cues, there was like this huge light bulb moment where I realized that I needed to be eating way more snacks than I was eating. So I would get hungry. When I really started to listen to my body, I realized that I would get hungry every day around 10:45 and every day around 4:45. Of course, that's like a rough estimate. It varies day to day, and there's some days where those hunger cues don't hit, but more or less, I mean, my body sort of works like clockwork, and right around those times, 10:45, 11 o'clock, 4:30, 4:45, I would start to get hungry. But I would not let myself have a snack then because I felt that it was too close to lunch, too close to dinner. So I would never let myself do that. Then I would end up overeating when mealtime came, or like we talked about earlier in the session, you having an unrealistic expectation that I could just eat my, normal sized portion of lunch that I packed or a normal sized portion of dinner, because I would be so famished by the time that I would get to those meals that food would not be enough for me, and I would eat it so quickly because I was so hungry that, one, I wasn't really enjoying it, I wasn't super present, I wasn't chewing slowly, I wasn't giving my body a chance to process the food or register the food, and after dinner it would lead to kind of overeating later on in the night because I wouldn't really feel satisfied, I wouldn't feel full. When I started just giving myself, unconditional permission to eat when I actually felt hungry, like noticing those hunger cues and then honoring them, like around a 3 or a 4, it totally transformed my mealtime experience. Because when I ate at 10:45 or 11 o'clock, I was able to sit down at lunch at, 12:30, 1 o'clock, whenever my lunchtime hunger rolled around, and not feel crazy, not feel hangry, not feel like really overwhelmed. And the same with dinner. I was able to sit down, with my husband at dinner time and just enjoy his company, actually talk to him rather than being like, can you please be quiet for a second? Like, I need to eat all this really quickly. So I think that if you begin to really listen to your hunger, you may find that there have been times where your body's been telling you that she'd like some food that you haven't been honoring, and then that can lead you to overeat later on.
So for me, understanding my hunger started with a little bit of fear that my hunger wouldn't come. I didn't really know what hunger felt like when I first started eating intuitively because everything was very regimented for me. So I had specific times that I would eat. Everything was based off of a number. It wasn't really based off of how I felt. So I was really disconnected with what hunger felt like to me, which therefore led me to be fearful that it wouldn't come or it would take too long to get there. So to make it easier on myself, I listened to my body. I knew that this fear was there. So I knew if I eat too much of something at one time, that might keep me full for like 4 or 5 hours. I'm gonna be freaked out if 4 hours from now I can't eat something else again. So to honor my body, I started with smaller portions more often through the day. So maybe a little cup of yogurt with some fruit on top. I knew that would only last me like an hour or two and then I'd get to eat again. I'd get to feel the hunger and then have that signal to eat again. Then I'd have like a Lara bar or a piece of toast with avocado or small things really often through the day. As I began to trust that my hunger always came, you know, it never failed me and just didn't show up, I started eating fuller meals, and today I pretty much eat 3 meals a day and then snacks as I feel hungry, and that feels so comfortable to me. So do whatever feels comfortable for you in the beginning and you will feel so much better being able to understand your hunger, and it won't be a fearful experience.